special event this morning. We are going to induct the class of 2012 into the Temple Athletic Hall of Fame. Late in the spring we get together and we go over all of the names and the teams that have been nominated. We just started to add teams a few years ago, some of our great teams, and we're going to honor another one this morning. And we go over the criteria for our Hall of Fame, and our committee sits down and makes recommendations. And I'd like to thank the committee, some of them who are here, some aren't. If they would stand up, I would like to recognize the Hall of Fame Selection Committee that makes all the recommendations to us, and some go back many, many years and personally know the teams and the athletes. John Baum, John McDonald, Aaron Bittman, Dr. Peter Chodoff, Donald Resnick, Tina Sloan Green, Gavin White Jr., and Mr. Al Schreier, who's up here, ladies and gentlemen, 59 years at Temple. Mr. Al Schreier. Whenever there's a question about something that happened many years ago or even last week, if there's not anyone around on the planet that knows the answer, Mr. Schreier does. And he's in there every morning helping me out, and there's nobody that's better. We're going to ask all of the inductees after this ceremony to come on up, and we're going to get some more pictures. So if we might not get enough in the beginning, they'll certainly do that after the ceremony. We ask everybody to make their way up here. We'll get some great pictures, maybe with some families if you want. And then obviously today, this is the induction ceremony officially, but today at halftime, down on the football field, we're going to ask all of our inductees to come down there, and we'll again have the public address announcer give your name, and you'll see yourself on two of the largest scoreboards in the world. So it's exciting for us here today. Very special moment for the inductees and the families, but obviously for all of us, the staff. This is something we just enjoy doing, looking back and honoring some of the great athletes that Temple has had over our illustrious athletic career. The first inductee is going to be Doug Schobert, football, and Doug's from the class of '73. Doug earned Associated Press All-American Honorable Mention and Second Team All-East Honors as a junior in 1971. In his senior year in '72, Doug was a team captain. He still owns the Owls' career completions percentage record, 57%, while his 3,913 passing yards ranked 6th on the all-time list, and his 26 career touchdown passes also ranks 6th all-time at Temple. A native of Chalfont, Pennsylvania, Doug led Temple in passing in each of his 3 seasons, leading the Owls to 3 straight winning seasons and an overall record of 18-9-1 during his career. His senior year included 227 yards passing against Boston College and 230 yards passing versus Delaware. Doug retired as a teacher at Quakertown Community Senior High School after 33 years and now splits time between homes in Pennsylvania and Cape Town, South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you help me induct Doug Schobert in the Temple Athletic Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. Oops. First, I want to congratulate all the other inductees today, and especially I think that 1982 lacrosse team who was undefeated in their season and a national championship. I think that's absolutely amazing. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. You know, I've been overwhelmed with gratitude, and I've presented these comments about 20 times in my head before I got up here, I think. First, I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee and all those involved in my nomination. It's been 40 years since I played football at Temple. This morning it feels like yesterday. Also, thank you to all my friends and family for sharing this special day with me, and especially some of my Temple teammates that are here today. In my neighborhood, it was decided by consensus that I should be the one to throw the football. Not because I was good at it, but because I was the slowest kid on the block. So my dad, who was a tailback for Amos Alonzo Stagg Jr. at Susquehanna, taught me to throw. When I threw my first touchdown pass as a varsity Temple quarterback, I ran off the field nearly out of control with excitement. Coach Harden pulled me aside, put both hands on my shoulders, gave me that look, some of you might remember, and said, "Calm down, Doug, you're supposed to do that." I'll try to keep my poise today, Coach. All I've been able to think of is all the people I share this award with and all that had to go right in my life for this to happen. First, I had to come to Temple, and then I had to get hurt, redshirted, and end up with 3 years of Coach Harden. Then I had to be at Temple with Randy Grossman, Clint Graves, Bobby Thornton, and my dear friend Paul Loughran, outstanding receivers. They dropped virtually nothing. 3 of the 4 played professional football. 1 is a member of this Hall of Fame and has 4 Super Bowl rings. Randy and I used to stay after practice until it was dark because it was fun. He would ask me to throw the ball out of his reach on purpose so he could practice leaving his feet for the ball. Scores of outstanding offensive linemen made it like throwing and catching for us. There can only be success when you are surrounded with teammates like this. Coaches Bruner, Drew, and Trentini, they all were great teachers. They wanted us to be successful, master the skills. Winning was never mentioned. 3 successive winning seasons was the result. I grew up in a family where the 3 boys were put first. Mom made dinner when we got home from practice, at whatever hour that might be. I never took a bus home from high school. Dad came from work and picked me up after every practice and encouraged me to be the last one off the field. He saw every game in every sport that I ever played. Never criticizing, always encouraging. My big brother John, who's here today, always picked me to play on his team with the older kids. He used to call me his secret weapon. It's easy to be a confident young athlete when your big brother calls you his secret weapon. In high school, I had the privilege of playing quarterback at Central Bucks West High School for Coach Mike Pettin in his first year as head coach. He believed in me and taught me to believe in myself. When I got to Temple, the football team's locker room was in Conwell Hall. We came out of the front door in full uniform, pushed the button on the traffic light, and crossed Broad Street for practice. It's a bit different today. After an injury in my second sophomore season, Coach Harden came to Temple and everything changed. I was third team quarterback after summer camp. Each of the other 2 quarterbacks started the first 2 games. The week of game 3, the depth chart had us listed laterally. We alternated at practice the entire week. At game time, we still didn't know who was starting. As the kickoff was in the air, I heard Coach Bruner say, "Wayne, who do you want at quarterback?" Coach said, "Do I have to decide already?" "Where are my quarterbacks?" I got right in front of him and he said, "Okay, Doug, you go in." We scored on the first drive in that win against Connecticut. I had the honor of being a Temple quarterback for the remainder of that season and my next 2. In my senior year, we beat Bobby Bowden's West Virginia at Temple Stadium, 39-36. Paul Loughran's punt return put us ahead, and Joe and Jaychuk's interception in the end zone as the clock ran out ended the most exciting night playing football ever. Coach Harden was, and still is, the most competitive person I have ever met. One day I came into his office and told him I was taking a badminton class. He asked me if I was any good. I said, "I'm good enough to beat you." He said, "I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock on the main gym floor." He proceeded to crush me 15-1, 15-3, and 15-7 because he felt sorry for me by that time. I should have known better. That competitiveness is why I got to spend so many hours in his office going over game plans. When each week ended, I was convinced that if we executed, we would win. His offensive schemes and game plans were genius. Draw, trap, screen, throw. I used those plans for 20 years as a high school coach, and Coach Harden tutored me when I became a head high school coach to a Suburban 1 championship. Thank you, Coach. Again, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this tremendous honor, and thank you to all who have made this day so special. I'm truly sharing this award with my teammates, especially Coach Trentini and all of his offensive linemen. It's like Coach Harden used to say it to me. Every time you drop back to pass, Doug, a sane group of men has to keep a crazed group of men from hurting you. All you have to do is throw it. That's the fun part. Thank you, everyone, for all the fun I got to have.
Doug Schober, ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame, class of '73 in football. Doug, Coach Adazio wanted me to congratulate you and ask you if you could get ready if something happens to one of our quarterbacks today if you come down. You remember those aches and pains. Danny Ackerman, gymnastics, class of '95. During his exceptional career at Temple, Danny excelled as a gymnast and as a student. A three-time NCAA qualifier in the all-around, he helped the Owls win Eastern Intercollegiate Gymnastics League championships in '93, '94, and '95. Danny also won the pommel horse at the EIGL as a junior and senior while winning the all-around title as a senior in '95. Also that year, he was one of 8 nominees for the Nissen Award presented to that year's outstanding senior collegiate gymnast as he earned All-American for his 5th place finish in the pommel horse at the '95 NCAA championships. At the same time, the native of Rihanna, Israel, earned NCAA All-American Scholar Athlete honors for his 3.99 cumulative GPA in risk management and finance. 3.99. Wonder who that professor was that gave that B++. Danny graduated with highest distinction from Columbia Business School in '03 and has been in the business of investment banking, originally with J.P. Morgan in New York and now as an executive director with Goldman Sachs in Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, please won't you help me induct Danny Ackerman into the Temple Hall of Athletes.
What a great honor. Thank you very much. By the way, the A- was in English composition. So I feel okay about that. This amazing journey began 20 years ago, almost to the date. It was December 1992 when I first arrived to Temple University to begin 2 very important chapters in my life, in my career. The first one was the final chapter in my gymnastics career, and the other was the beginning chapter of my educational, academic, and professional careers. Those were, without a doubt, the most important, fascinating, and memorable chapters in my life. Becoming a student athlete in the United States was my dream for as long as I can remember. And my father was my first coach. I can attest to that. Growing up, I always said that one day I want to be able to come to the United States, attend a university, be part of the NCAA system, and I'm so grateful for all those who helped along the way to make this dream a reality. The years at Temple were very important and defining years on many fronts. On the athletic front, through the excellent coaching of Fred Turoff and the rigor of the NCAA season, I managed to excel. The years at Temple were the peak years in my career. I managed to attain the most important goals that I set to myself as an athlete, becoming an All-American, the Israeli national champion, qualifying for European Championships finals, etc. On the academic and professional front, through the exceptional education that I got here at the business school, the groundwork, the foundation were laid for a successful future, managing later on to get into one of this country's finest business schools, my chosen field of finance, and some of this country's most prestigious institutions. I say all of that because to me this is the culmination of the American dream. For somebody like myself to come from a different country without financial means, without connections, with limited language skills at the time, i.e. the A-, and to be able to excel and do as well as I did, this is first and foremost a testament to the greatness of this country, of the system, the society, and its people. America is a true meritocracy. You might be taking it for granted, but it's like no other place in the world. This country accepted me with open arms and embraced me 20 years ago. And one big thanks goes to this country and its people. Freddie, 20 years ago, I don't know if you recall when I first stepped into Mechanical Hall, the thing that captivated me were the photos of all those individuals, the greatest athletes at Temple. And I remember you saying that, Danny, one day if you work hard enough and you perform well enough, maybe you'll get to join this prestigious group. Well, Freddie, we made it. This day came today, thanks in great part to you. You've been a terrific coach, a supporter, a mentor along all those years, and beyond everything, you're just a great man. And you've enabled me to accomplish my dream, and to so many before and after me, and I just can wish only that you will continue for as long as you can to help young athletes fulfill their dreams. I want to thank my teammates, some of which are in attendance today, and others spread throughout the country and the world. You guys made it so memorable and so unique of an experience. Without you, it wouldn't have been the same, because beyond everything, beyond all the successes, the degrees, what has been created here at Temple are long-lasting, life-lasting friendships that will carry with us forever. Yesterday, I've been at the gym with my dad, watching practice, and it all came back, and I just wish we could turn the clock back, even for one day, for one more practice, one more meet, one more party as a team, definitely one more party as a team. Those were really the days, and I'm grateful for my teammates for making it happen. I want to extend a special thanks to my Israeli coach, Gennady Shuk, who since then came to the United States and is today one of the finest coaches here in this country, having kids in the national team. Gennady helped me to be at the level that enabled coming to the US. I want to thank my Israeli coaches, Jacob Wishnia and Ilan Gazit, who helped me grow up and become the gymnast that I am. But beyond everything, I want to extend a very, very special thanks to my family. My father, who is here today with us, was my first coach. He taught me the basics of gymnastics, upon which all of this has been built. You got me to love this sport more than 30 years ago, and I'm so grateful for that. You supported me through injuries, along the way, school, and after gymnastics, and I really thank you for that. I extend a very special thanks to our mother, who had to endure so many days, nights, weekends without her husband and son, who were busy in the gym, and to my brother, who supported me along this very long journey. And finally, a great thanks to my wife at that time, my girlfriend, who supported me throughout this career. And much more importantly, her support came during the educational part after Temple, as well as during the interesting and fascinating career in my professional world after that. I want to thank the athletic department for this great honor. Thank you very much for all of you in attendance. Go Owls.
Danny Ackerman, Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen, gymnastics. Just curious, by a show of hands, how many of you out there thought Danny's speech deserved an A+? The reason I ask is we're recording this, and I'm going to send that professor this and hope that Danny can get some extra credit, and we'll change that to a 4.0. 3.99. Don't know how that feels, many of us, Danny. Peter Moore, baseball, class of '99. As a pitcher and a catcher, Peter is one of the most versatile players in Owls baseball history who still owns 11 Temple pitching records while banging out 130 career hits and a .298 career batting average. In his senior year, Peter was named Atlantic 10 Conference Pitcher of the Year and set single-season records for complete games with 10, saves with 8, and while striking out 103 batters with a 2.50 ERA. At the same time, he was named Academic All-Atlantic 10 Conference. Peter's school records include season marks for complete games, innings pitched with 117, strikeouts 120, and career records for games 84, complete games 26, saves 14, innings pitched 389, strikeouts 405, and shutouts 5. Peter teaches at Simmons Elementary School and just finished his 12th season as head baseball coach at Hatboro Horsham, where his team played in the state semifinals, and last month he was honored as Hatboro Horsham School District's Grand Champion of Learning. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me induct Peter Moore in the Temple Athletic Culture.
I think out of everything that was just said, the thing that stands out the most to me in the brochure is the picture of what I looked like as a freshman in college. It's a little bit different than what you see today. First, I'd like to thank the committee for including me in this induction class. It's quite an honor. It's given me a reason to reflect on my time at Temple, and in doing so, I've had the pleasure to recall many great memories and the life lessons that I learned through the Temple experience. My favorite personal stat from my time at Temple is that my senior year, I had 10 starts and 10 complete games. To me, when I got to baseball, I wanted to finish what I started. And I really believe that goes back to a lesson that my mom taught me when I was in high school. When you make a commitment to doing something, you're going to do it right and you're going to see it through. Speaking of my mom, I'd like to thank some people that are here today. My stepdad, my mom, Steve and Patty Kistemacher. It's an emotional day for me, so I may take a couple deep breaths. I honestly believe I'm the luckiest son in the world. To know that I always had somebody to turn to in the tough times and somebody to celebrate with during the good times was, I'm just a lucky person for that, so thank you. To my wife, Rachel, I truly appreciate all that you do for our family. We have 3 kids. We have Chase, who's 3.5, and twin daughters who are 1.5. So for Rachel to be able to do everything she does so I continue with baseball, I truly appreciate that. Rachel also didn't know me when I was at Temple, so hopefully today serves as proof to her that I was actually a decent ball player when I played. To my sisters, Julie and Sarah, simply the most supportive sisters anybody could ask for. As younger siblings, they were drug up and down the East Coast. Ernie Field was kind of their home away from home, and my teammates were like big brothers to them, for better or worse. So thank you for everything. My cousin Dan is here today, probably the most giving and genuine person that I know, and he's given a lot to our Hatters baseball program over the past few years. A couple former players of mine that are here. Jamie Abercrombie, who played for me at Hatboro Horsham, actually set the single-season record for doubles here at Temple a few years back. Jamie's here today. And Noble Unger, who played for me several years after graduating from high school, he's now ready, and he's going back to college where he's going to play baseball at Division II Chestnut Hill. And I'm as proud of him for making that commitment to do that as anybody I've ever coached. For me personally, I came to Temple in the fall of '95 as basically just a boy who loved the game of baseball. And when I stepped on the field, it was and still is a place where I could go and everything just felt right. I could get away from anything that was weighing on my mind. and all my focus and energy was just poured into the game of baseball. When I arrived at Temple, it was the first time I was surrounded by that many people who had the same passion for the game of baseball. It was also when I met the one person who stands out to me for matching my desire to win and my hatred for losing as much as I do, and that was Skip Wilson. During my time at Temple, I became very close with Coach. I owe more than words could ever say. He was the one coach at the Division I level that was willing to give me an opportunity to play two ways, to pitch and play the field, and that was extremely important to me. I came in as a freshman knowing that we had some older players. I would only have a few at-bats, play the field maybe a little bit, and pitch a little bit. I ended up throwing a lot that year, and I realized I was going to pitch more than maybe I had thought, but I still wanted to play the field, so I continued to work at it. My sophomore year, about a quarter of the way through the year, hadn't played very much, but continued to work out in practices. And I'll never forget when Coach called me over to the bullpen, which was a place he wasn't found too often. I don't think he loved pitchers. He liked the hitters maybe a little bit more. Called me over to the bullpen, sat down on the bench with me, and pardon my language, but I remember his exact quote was, "Peter, you are a pain in my ass." And he said, "But you've earned it. You're going to get a chance to play the field." So I went out, played third base for about a week. We lost to Army 3-2. All three runners that reached base reached because I made a throwing error at third base. I showed up the next day early with an assistant coach, took about 300 ground balls thrown across the infield. Coach showed up, and Coach said, "Peter, you're going to need an outfielder's glove." And at that moment, I moved to the outfield. I was fortunate enough to play in the outfield when I wasn't pitching. It was just something I loved doing, being on the field, playing the game of baseball, and Coach was the guy who gave me the opportunity to do that. So Coach, I'd just like to thank you for giving me an opportunity, for teaching me to play the game the right way, for teaching me to compete, teaching me what it meant to be part of a family where every member of the team was treated the same. Nobody got a free pass, nobody was overlooked. Whether it was a manager or a player, we were all treated the same. I'll never forget a talk in the bubble when you talked about the importance of committing to being the best at whatever it is that you were doing. It's a lesson that I still give to my players each and every year. I know my parents would also like to join me in thanking you for taking me as a boy and giving me back as a young man. I'd like to thank my teammates. Andy Cush is here today. Andy's one of the guys that helped me grow up at Temple. I was a sophomore and a bit of a mama's boy. So I lived at home the first 2 years, took classes at Ambler, and we were on a bus ride home our sophomore year, and Andy and my good friend Devin Moore handed me a piece of paper. I think they had worked it out with my parents that it was time for me to move out of my house. It was a housing form, and they told me that I was going to be living in towers with them the next year, and I didn't have a choice. That was kind of how most of the conversations I had with Andy went. I didn't really have a choice, but things usually ended up for the better, so thank you for that. A few other teammates. My freshman year, we had seniors, Scooby Gankus, Tom Whalen, and Tom Bianco, who really took us under their wings and taught us what it was all about to be a college athlete, taught us not to make excuses and to be accountable. And it was a lesson that always, I carry with me today. Devin Moore, somebody who couldn't be here today, is currently a scout for the Seattle Mariners and just got reassigned to the Carolinas in Virginia. And Devin was a catcher when I played here. I learned more about the game of baseball and pitching and catching from him than I ever thought a teammate could teach me, so I really appreciate Devin. Stand here today flattered to be a part of this outstanding group of Hall of Famers. It's almost surreal to think about it. One of the greatest things about this induction has been the opportunity to reconnect with old friends who've been reaching out with congratulatory messages. On that note, a quick but very sincere thank you to head baseball coach Ryan Wheeler for getting the word out to the alumni about my induction and for all that he's doing to reconnect with the Temple baseball alumni. I know it's been noted by a lot of alumni and very much appreciated. I stated earlier that since receiving this honor, it's given me a reason to reflect on my time at Temple and the lessons that I have learned. As a teacher and a coach, I can't think of a better lesson to stress to my players and students than the same lesson that my mom and Coach Wilson taught me. If you're going to commit to doing something, commit to seeing it through and doing the best that you can at it. Thank you.
Peter Moore, ladies and gentlemen, baseball, Temple Hall of Fame. Thank you, Peter. Today we're going to have over 25,000 people out there to watch the Owls in our very first Big East game. And for many of you, it's going to be exciting. If you haven't been here for a football game, many coming back. It's going to be quite a thing. And last night we had several celebrations back on campus. And if some of you haven't been back to campus recently, I mean in the last 3 or 4 years, you ought to get back there. Temple now has 40,000 students and we have some 13,000 students who live on campus or in the area. If you haven't seen some of the new buildings and some of the great things going on in athletics, I would ask you to come by. You might be very, very surprised at what you see. So today's an exciting day for many, many reasons. The Hall of Fame being the most important to us, but obviously the first game in the conference in the Big East, and obviously because it's homecoming. And next year, all of our sports, with the exception of fencing, our gymnastics, our men's crew, will be going into the Big East in all sports. So a lot to celebrate today. Lance Johnstone, football, class of 1995. Lance is one of the top defensive players in the history of Owls football. His 288 career solo tackles remains a school record, while his 429 total career tackles rank second in history. The Philadelphia native led Temple in tackles in 93, 94, and 95. In his junior year, Lance set the school record for solo tackles in a game with 16 against Pitt. That same year, he was named Big East and ECAC Defensive Player of the Week for his 11 tackle, 2 fumble recovery, 1 for a touchdown at Army. As captain in his senior year, Lance was selected to the Senior Bowl and later taken by the Oakland Raiders in the NFL Draft. He played 3 seasons with the Raiders, 5 more with the Minnesota Vikings, his terrific 8-year NFL career. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please help me induct Lance Johnstone, football, into class of 95.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Just one thing I gotta point out, it was 11 years and not 8. The only reason I point that out because I could definitely point on my body where those 3 years are added. First of all, I'd like to thank, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees today. And I'd like to thank the Temple Athletics for voting me in. It's a great honor, you know, just walking through McGonigal all those years, just seeing the pictures of, you know, all the others that went in the Hall of Fame back then always kind of inspired me. So to now be able to sit up there with them is a great honor. I want to just really give thanks to the people who helped shape my character and supported me, you know, the good times and bad times, running around the country to make sure they try to make every game that they possibly could. I definitely got to thank God for blessing me with 2 wonderful parents who supported me 150%. My father, who's worked for Temple University for 30 years with Temple Police. He just recently had surgery on his knee and wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it here today, but Temple Hospital had pretty much no choice, or their lives would have been, you know, not too comfortable. But I'd like to thank them because they went out of their way to make sure he was down here to witness this. 2 stories about my dad that really, you know, helped propel me and really just make me stick it out with football. Somebody came up prior, talked about, you know, starting something and sticking it out. And in my 10th grade year in high school, I wanted to quit football and get a job as a telemarketer, of all things. Because the coach moved me up to varsity where I wanted to dominate in JV, but he moved me to varsity and then set me on the bench. So I was going to go, you know, make me $8 an hour after school at telemarketing, but, you know, my dad told me, He didn't care what I did after the season, but I was going to finish the season. Next game, I started, and I'm standing up here today. So another thing, I've been at Temple Owl probably as long as I could remember, just because I used to always, me and my brother, follow my dad, follow behind my dad, and we worked security for the games over here when it was in the vet. So we would be here from, I think, sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning to it seemed like 7 o'clock at night, before everybody came in, and after everybody came in. I kind of always, said I wasn't going to Temple. I was going away from home, wasn't going to Temple, and ended up at Temple. So I think, subconsciously, it was working on me since day one. But I would do it all over again. Even though we struggled a little bit in my years here, I've never been with a group of guys that really still went out and played every game. Like we was 10-1 instead of 1-10 some years. I'd like to thank my brother. Always been, probably my biggest fan, and now I'm becoming a fan of him. He's a comedian now, so sometimes I just always remind him, make sure they laughing with you and not at you. That's the true mark of a comedian. My sisters, always the loudest people at the game. My grandma, cousin Ethel, same, very loud family. My wife reminds me that all the time, that I speak loud. And my kids now speaking loud, so. Two of my closest friends, Jeff Coles and Mark Baxter, also two former Owls, also two of my former roommates. Won't be telling too many stories. After that, things got a little foggy. I don't really quite remember some of those. At least that's what we say. But they can attest to one thing for sure, and you'll see when Mark Jackson's coming up, and everybody's very familiar with the 5:30 in the morning John Chaney practices and how successful Temple basketball was in those years. But Mark and Jeff and the other guys that might be here that know, we tried that. We tried waking up at 5:30 in the morning, and we used to walk past them in practice. See each other in the morning. And I hate to tell you guys, that wasn't the secret to John Chaney's success. It was something else. It wasn't 5:30. It didn't quite turn out the same way. Definitely, I gotta thank my wife. Even though she wasn't there with me at Temple, which might be a good thing. She's definitely been keeping me. I met her, my rookie year in Oakland, and she's been helping, keep me straight ever since. If I don't say my daughter, Farrah, I won't be able to go home. So, and my son, who's, about to make a mess of a lot of things. But, again, I think this is a great honor. I accept this, along with them and, all my teammates and people that came before me, that always, that I contribute to helping shape my character. And that's pretty much it. Go Owls. Let's try to get us a win today. Back in the Big East.
Lance Johnstone, ladies and gentlemen, football, Temple Hall of Fame. Lance, I didn't mean to take those 3 years away from you, because I know the difference between 11 years and 8 and the kind of pension that the NFL pays, and I wish you guys all the luck as you fight all of that, which we've been reading about. Ladies and gentlemen, we used to have the Hall of Fame was located in McGonigal Hall. And a guy named Tommy McDonald, who was a former wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles on their last championship game. What was that, 1961, Mr. Schreiber? He used to, his company did oil paintings for all of the people who were in the Hall of Fame, and Tommy's not in that business anymore. We're planning an all-sports Hall of Fame in the back of Leocoris as you come in there for the basketball games. It's this big, wide area, and Mark Ingram and all the staff, the development staff, asked me to say if there's anybody out here who has loose change of about $1 million today, if you could see us afterwards, we'll put your name on that Hall of Fame. We're looking for that. We think it's going to be a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility, and we're just $1 million short in doing that. But if you get up to campus and you see the new football facility and the new men's and women's basketball practice facility, you'll see what a few large donors can do to help us get those projects going. And hopefully we'll have the same success if we're fortunate enough to get some land for a new boathouse down on the river for our crew teams. That would be wonderful. So if anybody has that kind of money, please see Mark and his staff at the end of the day, and we'll take care of you. Our next inductee, Mark Jackson, men's basketball. Mark is one of the top post players in Owls men's basketball history. The Temple center, a Philadelphia native, led the team in scoring and rebounding in his 2 seasons with the Owls. Mark was team captain his final season in 96-97, averaged 16.1 points and 9 rebounds per game, and was named Atlantic 10 Conference Player of the Year. He was a 2-time All-Conference and All-Big Five first-team selection and was inducted into the Big Five Hall of Fame this past year. After leading Temple to a 40-14 record in 2 NCAA tournaments, Mark decided to enter the NBA draft and went in the second round to the Golden State Warriors. After a brief overseas career, Mark joined Golden State for the 2001 season and was named to the NBA All-Rookie team. After a 7-year NBA career, Mark now serves as a studio analyst for Comcast Sportsnet and just does one terrific job and is going to get better and better. We wish him all the luck in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please won't you join with me in inducting Mark Jackson into Temple University.
Hello. Everyone will know me. I'm very loud, so I don't necessarily need a mic. But I've always been told I talk too much and I talk too loud, so I try to dim it down both angles. First of all, thank the Hall of Fame committee, especially these gentlemen up here who do an outstanding job of what they do every day and for the Temple University Owls. And Mr. Schreier, we got to talk about Mr. Schreier. Every day at Temple, he's seen walk around his briefcase. Every day, no matter where he's going, he has his briefcase. Like, where's Mr. Schreier going all the time? He said, I'm going to work, Mark. I'm working hard. Yes, sir. I understand. So thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. Thank you, everyone at Temple. It's just a big honor. I'm just very privileged and humbled to be here. I know all athletes say that, but I truly tell you, I really feel like this is blowing me away to be part of this. You know, thank you, my Lord Jesus Christ. My wonderful wife, Nabila, who's home with our 2-year-old baby Shane. We don't want to bring him because he would destroy this place, believe me. I have my 6-year-old son, Sharif, my just turned 5 yesterday, son, Sammy. My brother, Basil, who's attending the University of Penn right now. My God family, Mr. and Mrs. Frank Marciano. Listen, the Markwood Award for me being in high school, I received that. Hall of Fame, thank you. The Big Five Hall of Fame, thank you for that. This Temple Hall of Fame is special, and let me tell you why. If you don't know my story, I'll tell you real briefly. I grew up in the inner city of North Philadelphia. I was born in Temple University, the hospital. Myself, my mother, and my brother was born at Temple Hospital. I grew up on campus at Temple at 11th and Cumberland, which is right off of Lehigh Avenue. I didn't get introduced to basketball until a later age. than most basketball players, but Mr. Walter Bird, who attended Temple, grabbed me off my stoop on my step and said, come with me. I said, who are you? He said, just ask your mother who Walter Bird is. I said, Mom, this guy named Walter Bird's telling me to go with him. He said, just do what he says. Walter Bird's about 6'5", 250, was known as an enforcer back in the ABA, and he put the enforcement on me to make me play the game of basketball. Him and his son, we walked all over the city as well. We even walked to Camden, New Jersey from North Philadelphia to work out every day. But one thing, when I was about 15 years old, that's when I actually fell in love with basketball. And that's when I started walking. We couldn't find a court in the wintertime to play before the basketball season started in school. So me and my good friend Kwame Burge had traveled to all the local colleges in Philadelphia. True story. All the colleges. And we used to break into their gymnasiums to use their basketball facility. Swear to God. But it was ironic, at that time, Temple had the best security in Philadelphia. So it was hard to get in. But when we did get in, and I'm telling you, and this is no lie, at 15, walking in the Temple, actually hiding from the security, trying to get into Pearson Hall and the side gyms to use their courts to play, and looking at all the people on the wall, looking at the plaques, the Hall of Fame plaques, just looking at that, and just remembering when I got the phone call, Mr. Schreier, saying I was being inducted to the Hall of Fame, it's like, really? You mean I'm going to be up with the people that was on that wall? So I just got to say once again at Temple, thank you so much for that, because that was motivation to me, seeing those people on the wall. And I didn't think I one day I'd ever be that good. But for me to be up here is just remarkable, and it's a privilege of what hard work does to you. I'd like to thank all the other inductees. Got a quick story about Lance Johnstone. Woo, got to tell you about that. I use motivation in my life to push myself harder. I often did things a little too much, and it really led to a lot of early and easy injuries. But I won't take it away from the world. But one time I seen Lance get in a tub full of ice. This is my first year at Temple. I said, man, what's that dude doing the ice? And it was our trainer Richard, who said, oh man, that's how you recover yourself. I said, whatever, I'm not doing that. Someone said, man, what are you doing? He said, man, I just had a hard practice of recovery. I said, man, I don't think I could do that. He said, you ain't working hard enough then. And I looked at him. I teach you. And I went right out to the basketball, worked my tail off, kept working. Practice be finished at 8, go to class, come back, work hard in the weight room, work hard on the court, and my body started aching to a level it never ached before. I started using the ice stuff. I remember Lance from playing. I must say, I went to school with us. He was my first year, but he left after my first year down with school with his sisters and his brothers. I could say he was right about his sisters, man. At every game, they were standing up going crazy. Yeah, come on, Lance, get him. And there was one particular play, he was playing against, I forgot who it was, but this team had a great running back, and he came through that middle, and Lance laid him out. And his sister stood up and said, you just been stoned. So I remember things like that, just memories like that at Temple and John Chaney. I'm always asked to do a John Chaney story, and I respect, I never do them, but I got to tell you one story about Coach Chaney, which I thank for being here. Coach Chaney, one time, I was really hard-nosed player. I didn't take no for an answer. As my good friend Trey Thomas used to be the offensive lineman for the Eagles, always used to tell me, once I got to 60, he said, you was meant to play football, not basketball, just because of my mentality. I always wanted to play against the best, always wanted to battle against the best and the strongest and the toughest. I wanted to prove that I was a warrior who deserved to be crowned the king. And that's how I looked at every game. I looked at every game as not a basketball game, but as a battle. My motto was, I would rip your head off to get to that basketball. I would. And that developed me a bad reputation with some coaches in the NBA, but I really didn't care. The ones who loved me were my teammates and my coaches. And that's why I continued to play the ball, because I didn't care what other people thought. I just wanted to think, it was important to me to make sure my family and my teammates knew that I had their back. And that's how I played the game. But the coach one time, he had a rule. I had some great coaches in my time. John Harnett, bless you. John Harnett, Ronnie Handy, before I even got to Temple. Dennis Seddon for Roman Catholic. Then I got the Temple, and then I got with Coach. And Coach had a rule that big men in the post, and my specialty was scoring on the post. And he said, you can't turn baseline to shoot a shot. That's what you mean. He said, you can go middle all you want, but you're not allowed to drop step baseline and shoot a shot. I said, why? And he went to explain how the baseline, but as a sixth defender, and it was harder for you to score. Okay, Coach. So I went to play for Coach for 2 years. First, when I transferred there, he let me do whatever I want to do, because when you transfer and you sit out, he didn't care what you do. So I was playing point guard in practice. So, my last year, we were about to go into the NCAA tournament and play against Cincinnati, who was our rivals, and they had a big guy named Danny Force, who was the first team All-American Player of the Year, 6'8", 270, solid muscle, good battle. So we about to play, we going in, I'm destroying people in practice, I'm doing everything. So then I decide to fake baseline, go middle. And he said, stop. Stop. If anybody know Coach, he speaks like this. Stop, man. What are you doing? Why didn't you go baseline? You had an easy go. I looked at him and like, Coach, you're not allowed to go baseline. No, what y'all didn't do it, man. I don't want to hear that. You had an easy time to go baseline and you turned it up to shoot a fancy hook shot to the middle lane. Okay, Coach, do it again, do it again. So we run the same play. I get the ball. I'm talking. I'm a big trash talker, by the way. So I'm going middle. I drop step baseline, get an N1 dunk. Stop! Stop! Oh, man, y'all gotta give me some players, man. This guy sucks. Man, you know my rule is you can't go baseline. But Coach, just play before. Ah, shut up, man. Just don't go baseline. So do it again. Do it again. Get the ball again. Fake baseline, go middle again, hook shot again. Stop! Didn't I tell you you had an opportunity to turn baseline to get N1? Coach, could you just... Man, I'm tired, man. I started crying and walked the court. He said, gotcha. He said, I don't care how tough you think you are. You ain't tougher than this mind games I play. So I say there, Coach Chaney, in mind that Coach Chaney has been a leader in building Temple basketball. Coach Dunphy's been a great job there. And there's going to be those who follow, and they have great players. Temple University, Temple Our Family, is not just a regular university. It's a family. It's a family. No matter what sport you play, no matter how good you think you are in your sport, no matter how bad you think you are in sport, we are a family. Temple rules, all other colleges drool, and that's how I truly feel. Like everyone say, go Owls, go Owls.